The MMA community is full of controversy this morning after Aljamain Sterling was unable to continue last night after he received this brutal illegal knee from Petr Yan. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. In my opinion, it's preposterous to say anything to the sort that he was faking this, that he was milking it, or it wasn't really as bad as it looked. But I saw the comments of what people were saying for their reasons why, and I think it still represents this fundamental kind of baseline misunderstanding about concussions in the sport. This was an insanely high amount of force that was transmitted to Sterling's head, definitely enough to account for the concussion and how he was behaving. Yan is going to impart this rapid hip flexion with his right leg, swinging that right knee up, while at the same time pushing off his other leg on the left side to help generate this tremendous amount of force that's all directed through that knee and into Sterling's head. So as he pushes through here, you can see that left heel raises up off the ground as that right hip is flexing rapidly upward to deliver all this momentum into Sterling's head. The other difference here between just a regular punch, of course, is with a punch, you've got some of the padding of the gloves. Here, there's no padding. You've got a hard surface with the kneecap that's making direct contact with the opponent's head here. And so there's no cushioning. There's nothing that's going to dissipate any of that energy. This is about as hard of an impact as you can see in the sport. Now remember, with a concussion, that brain is basically floating in the spinal fluid, and it's the idea of the brain slamming into one side of the skull from that trauma. And so here when we look at Sterling's head, look how quickly it snaps backwards. As that knee comes in, initially the skull moves, but the brain stays stationary, hitting into the side of the skull. And then as the head whips backwards, then the skull stops. All the momentum of the brain continues backwards and slams into the back of the skull. Sterling's behavior the rest of the sequence is 100% classic for somebody who's had a concussion. Hopefully nobody's arguing that piece of things. Where people seem to be getting caught up is that compared to other concussions we see in the sport, it took him a lot longer to recover. I saw comparisons to Ben Askren whenever he got knocked out, people saying, gosh, Ben recovered right away. This didn't seem nearly as bad. And what you have to understand is that there is no exact sort of timed sequence for when everybody's going to recover from a concussion. Similarly, you can't even necessarily look at how hard the hit was and always use that as a surrogate for how severe they're going to react in terms of their symptoms and the duration. When Sterling first tries to get up here, you can see his eyes, his face. He doesn't know where he is. He's disoriented. I'm sure he's dizzy. He's probably having altered vision. You can just tell from his face and the way his eyes are looking that he's out of it. He's altered. He doesn't know necessarily where he is. He's confused. He's concussed. He's suffered a brain injury. It looks like here he maybe tries to get up and then he goes back down because he knows that he can't. Here again, Sterling tried to get up and they kept him down because they knew that he wasn't ready to get up yet. And I mean, this is now towards the end and you can still see his eyes, the way he's reacting. He's still confused. He still doesn't fully seem to understand where he is, what's going on. He still looks like somebody who's concussed. We can hear the doc ask here if he's seeing straight. Sterling responds that, yeah, his vision's a little messed up. When he's laying down, it's better. That all fits too with still being concussed. And finally, let's watch and see when he tries to stand up, because again, he doesn't have the balance. So now we've seen the problem with the vision, the orientation, and he's unsteady. He can't stand. He can't safely even support himself. What you need to take away from this is that not all concussions present and resolve the same way. You can't use one athlete's concussion as a comparison for another. Absolutely nothing about this sequence makes me think that Sterling was in any way faking this, milking it, trying to get more out of it than was really there. The amount of force delivered from that horrible knee from Yan would justify that level of a reaction. But again, when you're watching going forward, you can't take one person's concussion and compare how they responded to another person. Everybody's going to respond a little bit differently. The duration of symptoms is always going to be different for each individual person. So let's stop trying to say that Sterling was milking this and acting. Hopefully this helps you understand a little bit better what was going on and this idea that you can't equate all concussions to one another. I hope people stop saying that he was faking this and just milking it, because there's nothing about this whole sequence that even gives the slightest shred of evidence to make me think that that's the case. That's it for the video, everybody. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.